Guys, we are back live. We're a few minutes late, but we're going to catch up. I promise. Eventually, we'll catch up because we'll just be done. But we're back here, second segment of the evening of our year-end special. It's our Oscar preview, as you can see so clearly from the thing. I'm Jonathan Betzler. I'm back. I got a new DVD behind me. We got a little Dances with Wolves, which is in reference to our 1990 in review segment coming up at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. But now we're talking about the Oscars from this year. We're going to break it down category by category. I don't remember how many. I think we got 8 categories we're going to try and talk about in an hour. Let's see if we can get through it. And in the meantime, let me introduce my co-hosts here. First, we got, let's go Davie Joseph first. How you doing, Davie?
Doing very well.
I can't see at the moment, but that's okay. Jay Money, how are you?
I am well, as well.
You are well as well. Okay, so let's start with go straight. Oh, I forgot that we had these special titles. All right, so I got to get into the rhythm of doing this Oscar thing. So we're going to start with production design, and Jay Money, because he's a rock star.
Oh wow!
Created these special titles for us. So, and my title's backwards. How do you like that? But they're all backwards. Here is the best production design. This is going to be the first category we talk about, and these are the 5 nominees. So that's kind of exciting. Now, this is going to be a rare category where I'm actually going to disagree with the pundits. Like most of the pundits, like they're disagreeing with each other to some degree. The majority are saying Mad Max wins here. And I actually, on my ballot, like if I did a poll or anything, I usually like win those polls if I did them, so I don't really do them anymore. But in each category, we're going to talk about will win, should be nominated, and will win. Again, I'm letting you know that Mad Max is generally considered to be the favorite in a lot of the below the line categories. But in this case, I actually think I have a feeling that they're going to look at Eve Stewart's work in The Danish Girl. Here, and I have a feeling that actually might win. But I'm being honest with you, the viewers, in saying that beware of Mad Max. There's this sensibility. The emotion is that people are just checking it off on their ballots in the below the line categories. But the thing is, like Mad Max has those big machines, production design. Like that's the element of its production design, like very creative. But Danish Girl has all those rooms. Based on that, let's start with Davie. What do you think? I still think Danish Girl is going to win. I'm not saying it should, but what do you think, Davie Joe? Are you?
Yeah, Danish Girl.
You think Danish Girl should win?
I think it should, and I think it will.
You also think it will. Where are you at, J Money?
I think Danish Girl could win, but I actually think Mad Max should win.
Okay. So we've narrowed it down to those two. So why do you feel like Mad Max over Danish Girl?
I guess I thought that the Danish Girl, it felt like there was a lot of things in it that were not necessarily unique to the film. It felt like to me it was a lot of set dressing, which was really nice. I mean, first off, let me back up. I think the production design of the Danish Girl is actually very good. I just didn't think it was nearly. I just didn't think it was quite as creative, and I also think that people are looking for reasons to award Mad Max, and so that's why I think it probably would end up winning. For me personally, I think that Mad Max had more interesting production design. I think there were more things happening in Mad Max that were more compelling to look at.
Well, I mean, like, it's the difference between, and like the Guild Awards separate them. Like they put Mad Max in a fantasy category and Danish Girl in a period category.
Which I understand why they would do that, because it's a hard.
I do, and the Oscars don't, because it would just make the show itself untenable potentially. But I mean, like for me, I'm in the Danish Girl camp. I think it should win, and this picture I think says a lot of the reasons why. Like I see your point about Mad Max. It is certainly, Mad Max is creating things from scratch. But I also think like Danish Girl, there was more work total. Like all this, I mean, everything is production design. You know what I mean? For all intents and purposes. And there is so much of it here. What's that?
I'm sorry. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I mean, like to me, like I didn't, and to be fair, I don't actually like the film The Danish Girl. I usually like Tom Hooper's work. I did not here, but this movie was almost about. It was an overwrought movie, but it was opulent, and in that sense, I feel like it should win here. Any rebuttal while I find the next slide?
Well, I guess all I would say is that there's more to Mad Max than just the vehicles. The vehicles are a really large part of it, certainly, but there's other things that are happening.
Well, I mean, From the production design point of view, though, like the vehicles were, the huge part of it, and I was trying to be quick.
I mean, location is certainly part of it. Costuming is not kind of part of, production
No,
design?
costuming is its own category and it has its own.
Yeah, because it's a separate category for the actual creation of the costuming. But I mean, doesn't that all kind of fall?
Well, they're also different people. I mean, you got to trust me when I say they're different departments. Like they work. I mean, they talk to each other in terms of color palette, which is the new buzzword from Davie Joe tonight, and things like that. But they're different department heads, and like they're in charge of their own world. So like they will try and work in cohesion, but
I guess I'd say regardless, to me, Mad Max is about world building, and I felt like it was very effectively done. So I feel like that.
I can buy that. What do you think should have been nominated, J Money?
I think that first off, I think Carol should have been nominated. I think Carol was surprisingly not nominated from this category. I would have definitely put it here. And another one that's probably a dark horse that I wouldn't necessarily expect the Oscars to recognize is Crimson Peak. Crimson Peak had some crazy production value stuff going on.
Okay. And Davie Joe, what about you? What should have been nominated?
I think Crimson Peak is a great thing to throw in there. I wish I had thought of that. Hard to Be a God was the one that I was thinking, which obviously would never get that, but it just visually unlike anything I've ever seen. So.
J Money, are you seeing Davie Joe? Because I am not.
I see him, except when he talks.
Right. All right. So here's the one I had listed from a production design point of view. I feel like Brooklyn should have been nominated here, and I actually prefer it to. And Davie Joe just is gone, by the way.
I think he's trying.
Oh, okay. Brooklyn it's not as opulent, but it's not supposed to be. Like I feel like it's got a production design that is a little more based in reality. And don't forget props. And I think this was your point to Mad Max. Props also count as being in the art department.
Yeah.
And this movie featured great ones without like being heavy-handed, and I feel like I like that's that's the kind of production design I think I gear myself towards is this concept of I'm not necessarily world building or making from scratch, but making something believable within a world and still beautiful. So that's why I'm in the Brooklyn camp.
Sure.
What do you guys think? Davie Joe, did you hear any of that?
Brooklyn. I heard Brooklyn, and sure. It's as good a pick as any. These are going to be more J Money's area, but sure, Brooklyn.
So, I mean, you just don't care.
It's not that I don't care. It's just I'm not.
Ballots.
I used my. That's it. That was the arrow. I shot it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Sebastian, I jumped the gun here again. I forgot about our awesome little slides here listing all the nominees, and I feel like that's important.
It is, definitely.
So sorry about that aspect of it. So I'm delaying us even more. So here are the nominees for Best Cinematography. There they are. So these are the nominees for Best Cinematography. This is going to be unprecedented in the sense that Chivo is going to win his third in a row, which is crazy to me. There's been two cinematographers historically that have won 2 in a row, one of them being John Toll in the 90s for Legend of the Fall and Braveheart back-to-back. So it's crazy to me that someone's going to win 3 in a row, especially with Roger Deakins on his 15th or 16th nomination, never having won. And, I know that Money was a fan of Sicario. Do you guys disagree at all that Revenant's going to win here?
No.
This one's sort of a slam dunk. He's already won the ASC awards. So now, Davie Joe, I'm going to presume that you think he should.
Yes, you presume correctly.
J Money, where are you on this?
I don't necessarily think he shouldn't, although I don't think it would have been my first choice. And especially in the list that they have here, Carol probably would have been my first choice.
We are in agreement.
Yeah.
I also have Carol as my first choice. I love Ed Lachman as cinematographer. They shot this movie on Super 16, which is so impressive to me.
Wow.
Almost more impressive than this Hateful Eight 70mm to some degree, because as good as it looked, and I mean, like it looked, the looks of the movie, which is so important. So I think that is that's a big part of it as well. Do you want to? I mean, like, oh, and that's the other thing that we talk about frequently is, you know, a lot of the time like these movies, like when we talk about 1990, Dances with Wolves, we hear one behind me, won Best Cinematography, but like it has these lush exteriors and and a lot going for it, and quite frankly, day exteriors are the easiest things to shoot.
Right.
And that's true of the Revenant to some degree. Like their location manager, is just as much responsible for some of that cinematography as Chivo, and I love Chivo, but also I think that interiors are the hardest thing to light and don't get enough cinematography acknowledgement from the Oscar voters, which is everybody, all 6,500 voters or whatever. So anyway, what do you guys think should be nominated? Let's start with Davie.
The two movies that jumped in my head. One's more tongue-in-cheek.
Pick one.
The Clouds of Silmarillion. I just thought that some good shots of clouds, but from above, and I just some neat stuff there. But yeah.
Okay, J Money.
I actually would have picked The Danish Girl. I'm surprised.
Interesting.
I'm surprised The Danish Girl didn't get picked up.
Did you like The Danish Girl? It wasn't in any of our top 10s. I was not a fan, but
I actually didn't like the movie at all. But I think that from the cinematographic point of view, it actually would fit into this category very well. So
yeah, it looked nice. But here's my choice, and I'm back to Brooklyn here. And I mean, again, I'm a big fan of this more subtle cinematography. It seems simple, but that's what I like about it. Like it fits. And I like this about Carol too. Like it fits within the world, and in this case, the time period. I mean, like if you look at this, it's lit very carefully, but not in a showy kind of way, Excuse me. And again, a lot of interiors in this film that I think look really outstanding. So. So anyway, so I'm with Brooklyn on here. Do you guys have anything you want to say about that?
I can see that. I can certainly see how Brooklyn would fit into that.
Sure.
Davie Joe, for you, is this one of those categories that you're like, whatevs?
It's not whatevs, but it's one that I'm a little out of my element. I don't like talking about it.
Okay,
so
maybe more in your element for this next category, and we are not doing good. We're about 8 minutes behind here, but. Let's move on to the adapted screenplay category, which was a controversial one leading up to our this broadcast, and so we'll take a quick minute for J Money to explain his objection to the category. Here are the nominees, and again, this is another slam dunk. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, do you guys disagree that The Big Short is going to win this?
No,
have you guys been sensing anything different?
I agree. I agree it will win.
Okay. J Money, are you going to refuse to opine on this altogether, or?
No, I can talk about it quickly.
Okay. No, I mean, first, I mean, are you going to not pick them because of your?
Oh no, I'll pick stuff. That's fine. I said I would pick stuff.
Okay. So tell us your objection. And then I'll rebuttal.
Well, it's not necessarily an objection. My point with evaluating the adapted screenplays is that I think you have to have some idea of what the original source material is to begin with. Otherwise, if you're not looking at that some sort of comparison, it's just the screen. You're just looking at the screenplay, which is the same as an original screenplay for all intents and purposes. If you don't know the difference.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, and this is the way the writers want it. So it's political to some degree, but it isn't. It is to the people that are writing adapted screenplays. It is the same to them, but the people that aren't, the people that are writing original screenplays, they want to be singled out. They want it to be separate.
I absolutely understand that.
So
I absolutely understand why
it's more to acknowledge. It's less about the art of adaptation than it is about. It is just looking at the screenplay. First of all, that is their task.
Right.
And it is just about, but the original people, they want to be separate because, they feel like the adapted screenplay had a leg up or an unfair advantage for many years because they had source material that voters that didn't understand screenwriting just thought that these people were making these up, so they wanted it separate from their point of view. So that's where that came from, and that's why it's separate categories, and it's not really about the original material at all.
I understand that entirely. It's just that in effect, it ends up being judged that way one way or the other. I understand why it's split up. I understand why there's a significance between the two of them, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it just doesn't have any practical matter. All
right. Since we're on you, do you want to say what you think what should win out of those 5?
Yeah. Okay. So we thought that Spotlight would win, right? I think that.
That's
my bad. Hang on.
Big Short. The Big Short is what we said would win.
The Big Short. Yeah. Okay. So what I think, honestly, I'm pretty much okay with any of them for a second choice. I think Brooklyn would probably be the one at the top of the heap for me.
You think Brooklyn should win? Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Davie Joe?
I think this is definitely the Big Short spot. I think it's gonna win, and it probably should.
Obviously, Big Short is my number 2 film of the year, so I'm a big fan. But when it comes to the screenplay, I'm actually going to go here, which I think what should win. And we haven't talked about it yet. And I love The Big Short, and The Martian was another one of those that just narrowly missed my top 10. But I do think it's a screenplay-driven movie. It's from the creator of Daredevil, Drew Goddard. It's really well executed as a screenplay, well told. It's very fun, but with a lot of science and information. And I think some people discredit it as a big budget movie, and it was a box office hit. But I actually think it's kind of deep and layered. I had some issues with it, which is why to make the top 10. It was one of those flawed movies that I kind of loved, but it was too flawed for me to really get in there in the top 10. But I thought the screenplay was a strength. So that's why it's here. Gentlemen, can you vamp for me?
I like The Martian. I liked it. Yeah, sure. I thought that that it was I just heard an interview with the author of the book, and it sounds like
it was an online book too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think originally he just kind of put it out there, and then it got picked up. But it's interesting. I don't know. It kind of wasn't one of my favorites, but.
Okay. Well, it's also interesting that for this category we had 3 different choices. J Money, camera's on you. So why don't you tell me what you feel should be nominated that was not?
I feel like The End of the Tour should have been nominated.
Okay.
I really enjoyed that. I'm surprised it wasn't nominated, but what do I know?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Look, we agree on that.
Davie Joe, what should be nominated?
I had The End of the Tour as well, and I was.
How about that?
Yeah.
Oh, for that, I guess. Well, I had this other photo pulled up, so let me just tell you what I had for should have been nominated, and it proves to you what I was telling you earlier, that I didn't hate this film as much as you might have thought of. Revenant's not nominated in this category. And I feel like people assume that it's just like a directorial achievement and therefore whatever. But I actually think, there are a lot of things I liked about the movie, and because it's not dialogue heavy does not mean it's not well written. And that's a fallacy I think that often gets misunderstood about some of these screenplays. They look for dialogue heavy scripts or dialogue driven scripts, but the writer is writing a lot of the reactions. And all these other things, and so again, I have mixed feelings about the movie, or not that mixed. Like I said, top 20, but it was not nominated in this category. A lot of the films that I loved over the year were original screenplays, so that accounts for some of this. But I think it was a worthwhile screenplay. Davie Joe's on your top 10.
Yeah, no, I can't argue with you. That's a good pick.
Okay. J Money?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, you know what? I'll talk. The story is a great story, and I love the movie, but I just thought it was more all the other elements of the film, the action, the performances. It's more of a just
all that stuff is written. Yeah, I see your point. Now that I have pictured, let's say you guys both picked End of the Tour should have been nominated. So What do you tell me about that a little bit more?
You know, I think that see a lot of the dialogue is off the tapes from the actual interviews. So I think that's probably what worked against it here, is it might have been a little too easy. But
yeah, it sounds like it.
But you know, it's just a movie that you know, it made me try and read Infinite Jest, and like most people, I failed. So
Okay, well that settles that. You guys ready to move? Do you have anything you want to say about it, J Money? No,
we can move on.
Okay, we will. And to talk about original screenplay. 11 minutes late, guys. We're dying. Here are the nominees for original screenplay, gentlemen. And this is the category where the Spotlight is the favorite to win. Does anybody disagree with that statement?
No.
No.
No. Okay.
It'll win.
Cool. And that is fabulous. Should it win, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Should it win?
It should. It should win.
I went with Ex Machina. I think I sort of let the cat out of the bag before, but that's where I would have gone with this.
Okay. Why?
Why Ex Machina?
Yeah, and then maybe expand specifically why Ex Machina over Spotlight.
I just believe that it is a more original script. You know, it's funny. I was looking at the category here, and it feels like there's only really 2 movies in here that are really kind of, you know, on their own, built from the ground up. There's this and Inside Out. Yeah, you know how I feel about Inside Out already, so that shouldn't be too surprising. But I also just actually enjoyed what was happening in Ex Machina. I enjoyed the script itself.
Was it on your top 10? I can't remember.
It was not.
Okay. I know it was on mine.
I think in terms of story and in terms of you know, I guess the dialogue, although for me, I feel like the dialogue in Ex Machina was you know, a little loose. I feel like people were kind of improvising a little bit here and there. It felt very natural. Just overall, I think the story should win in the situation. So.
Well, I mean, I'm also in the Spotlight camp with Davie Joe. It should win. This is one they're going to get right, I think. And I think that it, you know, it's good. It reminds me of a screenplay that we're going to talk about in the 1990s segment, and balancing plot, character, facts, and emotion. You know, I think it is a near perfect execution as far as screenplay is concerned. You know, with a very difficult story to tell. So that's what I got there. So now let's move on to what you guys think should have been nominated. I'm not able to take this photo down right now, but I will shortly. But in the meantime, let's start with J Money. What should have been nominated?
I would have liked to see Mistress America or Trainwreck nominated.
Okay.
Interesting.
I like Trainwreck. I've not seen Mistress America, but I have an aversion to Greta Gerwig. Like, it's an allergy type thing.
I understand.
But okay. Well, why do you think that is? What would be your preference between the two?
Mistress America probably would be my preference. Honestly, it's the first Noah Baumbach movie that I really, honestly, completely liked. You know, most of the time I end up, you know, sort of liking his movies and respecting them more than I actually like. This one I actually found.
And he had 2 movies this year, didn't he?
What else?
While We're Young was this year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Davie Joe, what about you? What would you like to see nominated here?
Well, I'm gonna sound like a broken record here, but I thought Creed. I thought that there were the way that they wove in, you know, a love story plus a really kind of a complicated background for the main character. And honestly, I mean, I didn't know how they could possibly revive this. Yeah. And they did a good job of it. So.
I'm also going to go with my favorite movie of the year. I feel like Trumbo is eligible here, and I mean, you know, another one that just takes a lot of information, you know, and makes it into an entertaining, engaging piece. Covers a lot of ground, balances, you know, the information with the touching side narrative. It's a complex, fascinating, well-researched portrait of man, and I think it's a great accomplishment as far as screenplays are concerned. What do you guys think about Trumbo here?
Yeah, I could agree with that. I could see why it would fit into the nomination.
Yeah, that's a
Well,
good.
now, for you, was there something about Mistress America that you? I mean, like something about like you said, Mistress American Trainwreck. Was there something about like having female screenwriters in there that you wanted to like get in there? Was there something political involved in your
No,
thought
no. I honestly
process?
just think I think I ended up enjoying them. I mean, of the few original movies I saw this year, because frankly, there's not necessarily that many original movies that would fit into the Oscar kind of nomination. I thought those were two that possibly could squeeze in. I think that Noah Baumbach is certainly a favorite in a lot of ways. Trainwreck. I mean, Amy Schumer's Force Be Watched. I think she's.
But I mean, he co-wrote that Mistress America, right, with Greta Gerwig. Isn't that
Yeah, Gerwig also co-wrote that. You should give it a try, JB. It's one of the least Gerwig movies, is what I would say.
Well, I'll bear that in mind. Let's move on to Best Supporting Actor, and still 11 minutes behind, but we haven't caught up. All right, so this one, in terms of will win, I think we all know what's going to happen there. What do you guys? Is anybody disagree that this is Stallone's award to lose?
No disagreement.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
I think
I will say, as
Rylance has a shot.
Well, it's funny. I actually am feeling like in and around the industry, I'm sensing a Tom Hardy resurgence. Just in an overall Revenant, like I feel like with all the steam that Revenant's gaining, like they're sort of dragging him along with him. So I don't think it's going to happen, but I think if there is an upset, that's one place you can look. So that is something there. What do you guys feel, Jim? Because you're in one movie, Davie Joe, I assume that you feel like he should win.
I do think Stallone should win, but I honestly, if Hardy or Rylance win, I'm not going to be angry.
I actually have an issue with Stallone here, and Creed was in my top 10 as well, so I'm a fan. But I mean, this is not a character he's creating from scratch. This is a character that he's been practicing for 40 years, and if this character is different or better than he was in the 6 previous movies, that's all related to the screenplay and the direction that you've already acknowledged earlier. I don't think that there's something different or unique that Sylvester Stallone is doing as an actor here that warrants an award. This is a career achievement award more than anything, and it's a good story. And it has precedence. The Color of Money. Paul Newman won his Oscar 25 years after initially playing a character he played 25 years earlier from The Hustler, The Color of Money. So it's more about the story than the actual performance, I think. What should win, J Money, for you?
I actually would like Tom Hardy to win this, and obviously I didn't see Creed, so I'm kind of out of the conversation in a lot of ways. But based on everything else that's up there nominated, I think Tom Hardy deserves it.
Real quick, why?
To me, he was actually the star of the movie. I mean, people are going to talk about Leo. Obviously, we're going to talk about Leo in a few minutes. But for me, Tom Hardy is the one that made the movie compelling to watch. He did some interesting things. And I'm the last person to describe performances. You're more on tune with that, JB. But there were a lot of qualities to his performance that I really appreciated.
Well, I'm in the minority on Tom Hardy, just in general. I know
you don't like Tom Hardy.
It's come up in the past, like when we did our Child 44 discussion.
Yeah.
There's some actors like him and Christian Bale that I just like. Christian Bale in the early days was awesome, like Rescue Dawn, The Machinist, Velvet Goldmine. I was digging everything he was doing. But recently, I just feel like he's really pushing, accents a little over the top, and same thing with Tom Hardy. I really feel like he's I would like a notch or 2 or 3 less out of him. You know what I mean, in terms of the scale and tone.
I feel like in this movie,
I don't like him generally or this movie. Go ahead, real quick.
Well, I was going to say in this movie he actually felt a little more toned back to me. I think that's maybe why because I understand what you're saying certainly.
Yeah, I didn't feel that. I felt like sometimes that accent was just a little too. It just felt a little too put on. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I can feel him acting. You know what I mean? And some of these actors that I like, I don't feel that. Like my choice for Best Supporting Actor, Mark Rylance would be another example of one who you don't feel his performance. But I think Mark Ruffalo, in the second year in a row, I picked Mark Ruffalo for this. Last year was for Foxcatcher. But I mean, I just feel like he just blends into these characters. It doesn't feel like he's acting. It's so natural. it's exquisite choices that adds to the verisimilitude, and obviously it's an ensemble, but I think he does stand out a little bit to me in this movie. So anyway, that's my choice. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Ruffalo. Oh, first of all, let me completely agree with you on Christian Bale. I don't understand that nomination at all. But I thought that the deal with Ruffalo is I didn't think he was the best in that movie, so it's hard for me to...
Who did you think was the best in that movie?
I thought Liev Schreiber was really good in that movie. So
I think everybody's good, which is why I think Tom McCarthy's work is so good. But I like Mark Ruffalo a lot. J Money, anything real quick on Mark Ruffalo?
I like Mark Ruffalo a lot. I guess I just feel like of everyone here, I wasn't necessarily as intrigued by his character.
Okay. Davie, who should have been nominated? Actually, no. Let's go J Money first.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Corey Hawkins from Straight Outta Compton. He is Dr. Dre in Straight Outta Compton. He's so commanding in a way that I thought was.
Dr. Dre? Did you say Dr. Dre?
Corey Hawkins plays Dr. Dre in.
No, I know. That's funny. I like the guy that was Eazy-E. I thought that's where you were going.
I think for me in the end, Corey Hawkins was a little more commanding in a way that I liked. So
I actually disagree with that. I mean, I thought the character of Eazy-E was a little more compelling and also fully rounded to me. But
really, you thought Eazy-E was more rounded? See, Eazy-E sounded.
I don't remember the actor's name, unfortunately. But I considered him, but because I didn't put him on, I didn't remember the actor's name. But I didn't. I thought the Corey Hawkins, I guess, was on the blander side. I liked the movie, but I didn't necessarily like this particular.
I thought Eazy-E.
But hey, you get to be not a racist then.
Hey.
So let's see if Davie Joe gets to be not a racist. What do you got, Davie?
I guess I'm racist. Although I don't disagree with that choice. It's a really good choice.
You also prefer Corey Hawkins to the Eazy-E character?
I know I liked Eazy better. Okay.
Guys.
All right.
Come on.
But I have Paul Dano and Steve Carell written down. Those are the.
Pick one.
All right, give me Paul Dano. Let's keep it interesting.
Because I actually think Steve Carell. I actually had Steve Carell in my top 5 of the leading performances.
Okay.
Paul Dano.
Yeah. Paul Dano. I thought Love and Mercy.
Love and Mercy the film is Love and Mercy, I presume, for those of you who aren't clear. But go ahead.
Yeah, I just thought that his half of that movie was really, really strong, and his portrayal, especially when he's composing the music, I just thought it was really, really a great performance. Part
of my issue is like it was okay. I didn't like the movie very much at all, and therefore, I think that. Downgraded, and I felt like there was a lot of other performances that I was more interested in, including one that I'm surprised you didn't pick up on. I'm gonna pick one of your top 10 movies here. This performance is amazing. Richard Jenkins in Bone Tomahawk.
Yeah, I'll give you.
I was hoping you were gonna go there. Talk about a complete character here. And I saw this late in the game. Just a week or so ago, thanks to Davie Joe. But because I actually had Benicio del Toro in this spot for almost the whole season from Sicario. That would have made me not a racist, sort of. But now I'm a racist again because I'm going with a white guy. Once I saw this movie, I just couldn't deny this performance. He disappears into this character. It's different from anything he's ever done. And don't underestimate the challenge of playing someone who's not that bright. Now, he's not a complete idiot, but he's probably the least book smart of everyone in their party, and it's something he relishes and makes work. In a bigger movie, I think it would have been iconic portrait. If this weren't an indie, it would have been a performance that got really remembered. He was nominated for Indie Spirit Award, and I did vote for him. So anyway, Richard Jenkins. Davie Joe, you sound like you're in agreement.
That's a great choice.
Yeah, sure, throw him in. I'm cool with that.
I can't remember if you've seen the movie or not.
Oh yeah, no, I saw the movie.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
and I can't remember if you liked it or not.
I liked it. It didn't end up on my list, but I did like it.
And you liked Richard Jenkins.
Yeah, I did. I think there are actually some really, as you said before, there are some great performances in there. There are some not so great performances in that movie, but he's on the good side at least. So.
Yeah, he was the one that really stood out to me. So yeah, and thank you for remembering that I had said that because I had almost forgotten. So all right, let's move on to Best Supporting Actress. We are well behind at this point.
Right,
16 minutes behind. All right, so we're in some deep doo-doo, but so supporting actress. Here are the nominees. I have a real problem with this category because, as far as I'm concerned, there are 2 leading performances that are shoehorned into this category unfairly, and that's a real problem for me. And it is also, out of all the acting categories, the closest. My feeling is, and most people feel like Alicia Vikander is going to win this, and not even just the Danish Girl being the lead performance, but also, for her year overall, being in 3 significant films of the year. And the one who's hot on her tail is an actual supporting performance, and that's Kate Winslet and Steve Jobs, and people just love her. She could sneak this out if people vote the way I would, in the sense that voting for an actual supporting performance and sort of rejecting this idea of shoehorning these ladies into this category. But that's how I feel about it. Davie, who do you feel like should win?
Jennifer Jason Leigh. I thought that her transformance in that movie was just absolutely amazing, and I know I like the movie. Well, obviously J Money hasn't seen it, but I know I like the movie a lot better than you did. But I just thought her performance was unlike anything I'd seen in a Western with a really strong female character. So it was something I really enjoyed.
Well, in terms of really strong female characters in Westerns, I might point you to 40 Guns, Barbara Stanwyck.
But I haven't seen anything like that. I mean that.
No, I understand. I'm giving you a recommendation.
I will check that out. I will check that out.
But I'm going to skip J Money real quick because I'm actually in agreement with you. I got Jennifer Jason Leigh
yes
here and mainly because it's a supporting performance. Like, I mean, I like Rooney Mara a lot and was thinking about going there, but I sort of feel like protesting this concept of because I don't feel like they're comparable because of the size of the role. Rachel McAdams is nominated for Spotlight, but I actually might have voted for her if she was nominated for Southpaw. But without that, Jennifer Jason Leigh, who also had a huge year in this, and also in Anomalisa, which both you guys really liked. This is truly a supporting performance. Obviously, the screenplays it takes a big, it helps her out a lot here. But the way she peels layer after layer of this character, like Richard Jenkins, it's sort of an indelible character to remember. J Money, what do you have?
So now I'm at a loss again because I unfortunately didn't get a chance to see Hateful Eight. And it's funny because I would pick Rooney Mara in this, but you're making a pretty strong case for why she's shoehorned in here and why she shouldn't necessarily fit in this category. And I agree with you. It's a weird category, this year. There are so many competing strong performances.
Yeah. So are you saying Rooney Mara or are you abstaining? I'm unclear.
No. I guess based on what I've seen in the category, I'll still go with Rooney Mara. But I understand everything that you just said about it. So
I can't really in good faith say that is wrong. Like that makes a ton of sense to me. But it is also, I would have. Well, I don't know. I think there are actually 5 better female leading performances than her too. I like Carol. Obviously, it was in my top 10.
Yeah.
There was some really great work on the Best Actress category overall, and that's where this comes from. Is that studios, really campaign for them in these categories, and the voters fell for it. So, because they were in leading category, like Rooney Mara won Best Actress at Cannes over Cate Blanchett, and was nominated in SAG, I believe, for Best Actress. So. It's at the voters' discretion, but the campaigns really told the tale. J Money, who should have been nominated?
I would have put Kristen Stewart into this category for Clouds of Sils Maria.
Yeah, and I had a picture ready, and I changed it. And I should have I sort of predicted that. But Davie, are you in agreement with that?
I have I have it written down here, but I also have someone else, so I was just gonna go with the other one.
All right, go ahead.
Well, here's the deal. I don't know if this is eligible. You tell me if it's a supporting role or a leading role, but I have Maya Taylor written here from Tangerine.
Maya Taylor is the less crazy of the two. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, she's the less crazy of the two.
Okay. Yeah, that I would count that as a leading performance. So let's just say that you're on board with. It's funny because the other one was nominated for Best Actress for the Indie Spirit Awards, the crazy one.
Okay.
You know, in deference to Tangerine, I will say the one performance in the movie that I did like was the boyfriend that comes in at the end. You know, I thought he was one of the more interesting characters.
You mean the pimp?
But the choice of Maya Taylor would make you, sir, not a racist.
Okay, good. That's. You know what? I'm going with it. That's my choice.
Even though she doesn't fit in this category. So here's why. And this is another one that's eligible. The eligibility is questionable. This is from a film called Flockin', which did the film festival circuit. It technically was eligible for Indie Spirit Awards and things of that nature. It won the LA Film Festival. This is Eva Melander. Eva Melander. It's a Swedish film. And she plays a mother of a boy who is accused of sexual assault. She tries to mount a campaign to discredit the victim. It's sort of like I think I talked about this a little bit. Like I don't know if it was on camera or not, but with you guys. But in terms of potential indie spotlights at some point, but it actually it's an amazing performance, and it was something to behold. If I don't know, I noticed it's sort of like a reverse The Hunt, in that sense, like like there's an accusation, you don't know if it's true or not, but whereas The Hunt was, from the point of view of the accused, this is more or less from the point of view of the accuser, and what happens to them, and especially after this campaign is mounted to protect her son. It's a fascinating movie and a fascinating characterization. If you guys are telling me that it's ineligible, then I'm going to go back to Brooklyn for a scene-stealing work from our old Educating Rita friend, Julie Walters. And to think this is the same person that did Educating Rita, it's sort of amazing because they're so different, and she knocks this character out of the park and is so memorable in this movie to me. So that's my caveat. I assume neither of you have seen Flockin'. It was on the list.
No, I didn't see it, although it's funny, as I was getting the images ready for the show, it looked really interesting just from the images, so I wrote it down so I could go back and look for it.
Maybe on a future sound-off,
yeah.
We can talk about it. Okay, I am going to... Oh, shoot, I pulled up the wrong photo again. So let me do this. Do you guys want to talk about Julie Walters in Brooklyn real quick while I do this?
Davie Joe, did you really enjoy Julie Walters in Brooklyn?
I did. I did enjoy her, and I enjoyed the film as a whole. But she could have kind of gone down a road where she was just sort of kind of cutting and mean, but she was a little more full of a character, and she didn't get a lot of screen time. So
yeah, I wish she had gotten more. I wish she had been used a little bit better.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I almost wonder if more would have been oversaturation. Like I thought it might have been just right. But I'm ready to move on. Best Actress. Let's see, we're 19 minutes behind now, so we're really effed. So Best Actress. So this one is pretty obvious. Who's going to win this one? Brie Larson has this in a runaway. Is she the first in alphabetical order?
That's not intentionally.
Okay. So anyway, does anybody disagree that this one is a slam dunk for Brie Larson?
Nope.
I
Davie
mean,
Joe?
I mean, Charlotte Rampling I've heard also, but
you have?
Yeah.
I've not heard that at all. What should win, gentlemen? Let's go with J Money.
I'm okay with Brie Larson.
Actually, sorry, Davie Joe. Davie Joe, you go ahead first. What should win? Should Brie?
I have Brie Larson.
We haven't talked about Rooney yet, but you liked her.
I did like her. I don't love the movie, but I thought
I don't either.
I thought she was very good though.
Okay, J Money, where are you?
I really like Brie Larson in Room. I really like Room, the movie itself. Obviously, Charlotte Rampling really stuck out to me this year, so it's a really hard call for me. I mean, I could really go either or. I guess I'll say Charlotte Rampling just because I've already stuck up for her already, but Brie Larson's performance.
Yeah, that's what I've got as well in terms of should win. I think it's the kind of subtle, nuanced performance that screen acting is all about. I mean, I think it is textbook, beautiful cinema acting. And Tom Courtenay was actually my third favorite in the supporting actor category. I feel like she gives you the slightest hint of what's going on underneath, but she never tips her hand. It's so nuanced and subtle, and she milks those close-ups to the nth degree. I mean, I think it's actually some remarkable work. So with that said, what do you guys feel like should have been nominated? And now we can start with J Money.
The obvious choice for me would be to go with Juliette Binoche. But I also want to just throw in another one quickly. Belle Powley in Diary of a Teenage Girl. Sort of an outside choice, but
okay.
But I really enjoyed it. I also think that maybe it's as much about the casting in that situation as her performance. She was just the exact right fit for that movie.
And it's sort of built around her. And I didn't really love the movie as much in that particular case. That leaves a bad taste in your mouth. How do you feel about Belle Powley, Davie Joe?
No, I think that's a good choice. And it's not one that I had thought of, but it's a good choice.
Thanks.
What is your choice, Davie?
Nina Hoss from Phoenix.
Oh yeah, that's a great choice.
Is that even on the list? I don't know. That wasn't even on the list.
Oh, is it not on? I'm sorry if it's not on the.
It's on the list.
Is it? It's not on the list. I've never even heard of it.
I thought it was on the list. I thought we had it on the list.
No, it's definitely not on the list.
I'm sorry, JB. That's my fault.
Are you sure it was released in 2015?
Yes.
Theatrically.
I think so too. I watched it because I thought it was also 2015.
I am sure.
I'm not.
That's my fault.
I'm just saying. Are you sure? I have never even heard of it.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Check it out. It's a performance. She is just really quickly. She's in the Holocaust and she gets facial reconstruction and she goes back to her to her former husband and he doesn't know it's her. And it's just a really touching performance and it's it's musical in some ways too, and it's just she does a lot in this film, and it's just a great performance.
All right, so now I'm going to. I also have a film that you guys have not heard of, or probably haven't heard of, for my Best Actress. Should have been nominated. Let me introduce you to Krisha. From the actress' name is Krisha Fairchild, and she's in the movie Krisha. She plays a character named Krisha. My expectations were really low for this movie going in, and it was one of the most amazingly strange but amazingly flawed movies I've seen in a long time. Too flawed to put in my top 10, but the performance cannot be denied. It is a powerhouse performance of a flawed, deeply troubled older woman, kind of the opposite of Charlotte Rampling in terms of the histrionics, but she makes it work very believably. The whole ensemble is very good. It's like almost watching a documentary to some degree. It's like a docudrama, but without necessarily a lot of the handheld artifice. But the naturalism of the performances, it treated the movie that treats a Thanksgiving dinner like it's a horror movie. It's strange, and it might be a future indie spotlight at some point. It's a super affecting performance, which is why I have it as the best of the year. Again, if it doesn't meet eligibility requirements, I actually have Cate Blanchett second for Truth. If Cate Blanchett were nominated for Carol, she's an amazing actor, and I did not like the movie Truth, but her performance I thought was super strong in an otherwise, kind of lame movie. All right. So I assume nobody's seen Krisha.
No, I will. I will.
It was on the list, in fairness.
Sure, I know. I'm sorry about that. That's
No. There's no apologies. I mean, like, I didn't get to all 149, although I tried. Damn it. Did anybody see Truth?
No.
I saw Truth. You know, it's.
Do you see what I'm saying about her characterization, Mary Mapes? Like, there's something to that.
Yeah, you know, it's a good point. I never even considered it because the movie, I didn't think it was terrible, but I thought it was mediocre.
Yeah, that's where I am in the movie. Like, sort of like didn't have the impact that I was hoping for.
And it was
really looking forward to it.
I was looking forward to it also, and maybe that's part of the problem.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Best Actor. Davey, while I'm doing this, maybe you want to like tweet that we're running a little late,
Okay.
or Facebook. Put on Facebook. And hopefully you can answer questions if necessary. So these are the Best Actor nominees. Again, this is another slam dunk. This is why the Will wins, are not taking up as much time. So the question here is, so Leonardo obviously is going to win this one. I for one reject the idea of like this degree of physical difficulty makes the performance better. But I mean, which is not to say I think it's a bad performance. I just don't have him in my top 5. Like, I think I did at one point, but he got knocked out not too long ago. So with that said, who do you guys feel like should win?
JB.
Let's start with J Money.
JB, we actually agree about this. I don't think grunting makes a performance, and I think that DiCaprio. I think he you can say that he went through a lot because he obviously did go through a lot, but that's not what to me. That's not necessarily acting. That's reacting. That's too easy for me in a lot of ways. I would give this to Cranston. Yeah. I think Cranston's the one that put in the performance that's worth noting.
Well, I haven't got to the photo yet, but that's where I was going as well.
Yeah.
It's towards the bottom of the alphabet, so it's a struggle, but but regardless, so here he is. Yeah, I have Bryan Cranston. Obviously he's a piece of my favorite movie of the year. A lot of the same words apply. Detailed, nuanced, well researched. I particularly like the second act where he sort of ignores how playing the role of the victim, bucking the system affects his family. I feel like that was an important layer that added to the character. So yeah, I'm down with you on that. Where are you, Davie Joe?
I am finally going to forgive Leonardo DiCaprio for Titanic and let him win this one.
You believe he deserves it?
I do think he deserves it, and I just.
But not as a career achievement award. You think he's the best of these 5 performances?
No, I think he is the best, but I think that it's close with Cranston. So I'd be happy either way.
But I mean, he will not lose. You recognize that part of it.
I am the most confident that he will win this one.
Yeah, this is no question.
So that brings us to should have been nominated. So Davie Joe, camera's on you. So why don't you go?
Okay. This is going to come as no surprise. Michael B. Jordan.
Okay.
Michael B. Jordan.
You're not a racist.
Adonis Creed. It was a tremendous performance in the best movie of the year. So to me, it's a no-brainer. He should have been nominated, and I don't understand why it didn't happen.
Well, I like it. I like him a lot. I like the movie a lot. Again, I did find 5 performances that were better. I also had Leo ahead of him. Marginally. I don't think it's a bad performance. I wouldn't have been crushed if it was nominated. It just wouldn't have made my top 5 in that regard. J Money, what about you? Who should have been nominated?
I honestly had a really hard time coming up with people. I just didn't think that there was a strong year for lead performances this year. Maybe it's also.
I disagree.
I don't know what to say. I did end up settling on Idris Elba. I don't know if he really counts as a male lead performance or supporting.
It's supporting.
I thought it was supporting also.
Yeah.
Well, he won the SAG award for supporting.
He did? Okay. Well then, yeah, there you go.
You got nothing else?
Yeah. Honestly, I've got a big shrug for this category this year. I just didn't really see a lot that really stuck out to me.
Well, I did. I actually thought there were a lot of good performances, and my one should have been nominated is from a movie that we discussed. We haven't talked a lot about movies that we actually reviewed on the show, but I actually got Jake. I got our boy Jake in Southpaw. and it's one of my only mentions of a movie we've talked about, which is from episode 14.1. This is a movie. Like, the movie we had was highly flawed. I think we almost all agreed about it. But we also, I think, all agreed that Jake was a high point. Let's just think about Jake's range recently between Enemy, Prisoners, Nightcrawler, and this. I mean, like, the characters are extraordinarily different, and like he executes them all, I think, perfectly. And it's another example of a character that's not as intelligent, played by an intelligent actor, and that is not an easy thing to do, like to make someone believably not intelligent without making the character unlikable. I think every physical choice, every line delivery are all pretty memorable in a performance that was in harmony with itself. And with the movie. So I imagine you guys feel like that's a strong choice for a movie that was average, but I think the performance is noteworthy. I think Jake is a really good actor.
Oh, he's as good as we got these days. So.
Yeah, I'll buy that. Look at the entire breadth of his career at the moment. Not so much for that role specifically.
But you did like his performance. Like, you didn't hate his performance, as I recall, or did I?
No, I didn't hate his
wrong.
But I also didn't like the movie at all. So it's sort of like, what's the lesser of two evils in this situation? I mean,
go ahead.
I think that he was the most interesting thing about that movie. I just don't think that his performance in that movie, is nomination worthy in this situation. I think that Jake Gyllenhaal in general is a great actor. I really like most of his work. I'm just not necessarily gonna call it that one performance. But I guess I would say that was my issue with this.
I'm used to being in the movie in minority, so let's move on to Best Actor. So this is another one that's going to be given, and this will be the third time historically that a director has won 2 consecutive Best Director Oscars. Happened in 1940 and 41 for John Ford for Grapes of Wrath, which I'm screening tomorrow at the Oscar Movie Marathon, and he won for How Green Is My Valley in 1941. And Joseph Mankiewicz did it for Letter to Three Wives in 49 and All About Eve in 50. So this will be the third time it happened historically. If Revenant wins Best Picture, it'll be the first time ever that the same director directed 2 consecutive Best Picture winners, ever. So that's something we'll talk about in the next category. Does anybody disagree that Inarritu is going to win this because of, again, the degree of difficulty conversation? They feel like this is a more cinematic movie.
No, he'll probably win.
Yeah, he'll win. I think that's.
I don't think anybody's really betting against him.
Yeah.
Should he win? J Money.
No, I would go with Adam McKay in this situation. I think The Big Short was more noteworthy.
Davie Joe.
Inarritu. I think he should win. I think he should win.
Now, why?
Well, I mean, this is tough. It's between Miller and Inarritu, but this movie. Inarritu. I think maybe it's the scope of it. Maybe I think that it was such a difficult task, but it was also it was so striking from beginning to end, and I don't know. The battle scene, again, Saving Private Ryan, for me to invoke that, that's a big deal to me.
Well, I feel like it's a misunderstanding of what directors actually do, and what good direction entails. I'm with J Money. I'm on the Adam McKay bandwagon. That's him in the scarf there. Obviously, Big Short was my number 2 movie of the year. But I'm going with Adam McKay over Jay Roach because there was something innovative and inventive about the way he approached this material. And I think I said in the beginning, I kept saying yes, that is the right choice. That is the right choice. The performances are really strong, across the board, and it's the ensemble, and they're in sync with each other in disparate elements. Like, most of the ensemble never meets in the movie, as opposed to Spotlight, where they're all together. Mm-hmm. And I also thought it was interesting that he never lets his comedic background, and sensibilities overshadow the corruption and pain beneath the surface. I thought that was a really, really cool thing. Davey, what should have been nominated here that wasn't? Let's stop. Let's stop there, okay. Because I think we might be in agreement. So let me go with Jay Money first.
Well, Todd Haynes should have been nominated. Like, what the hell, man?
Yeah, I mean the mise en scène in that movie.
Yeah.
That was some great work. But Carol didn't even get a Best Picture nomination.
No, whatever. I don't know. Ridiculous.
But Carol wasn't in your top 10, so.
No, but I mean, for what it is for an Oscar movie, I think it well, we'll talk about this shortly. So whatever.
Okay. Well, I was asking for time, but Davie Joe, why don't you now tell me who you want?
Now, Coogler, come on. I mean, it's ridiculous that Ryan Coogler doesn't get nominated here.
That's who I have as well, actually. That's my choice. We talked earlier about the single greatest shot of the year, which was ballsy to try. Difficult to execute. He almost single-handedly re-energized this franchise. Conceived, lots of great ideas throughout the movie. And it's, in spite of all its, cinematicness, it's fun, moving, and inspiring, almost recapturing the spirit of the original. So I think it's really, really good. And J Money can't talk about it, so Davey, you'll have to say some more.
And all the things you said, also the performances that he drew out of these actors was it could not have been any better. I don't just think he should have been nominated here. I think he should win. So this is a travesty as far as I'm concerned.
And you know what? The fact that we both say that he should be nominated makes us not racist.
Well, there you go.
So
Congratulations, guys.
I feel a lot better about the situation. So anyway, now let's talk about the big one, which actually is the hardest to predict of them all. This is a three-horse race, guys, and no one really knows what's going on. My sense is that the Revenant is peak steam, but here's the thing: are you guys familiar with the preferential voting?
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
So the deal is, for all other categories they just pick one person. For the Best Picture category, they rank them 1 through 8, and if you rank it 1, it gets 8 points, and all the way down. If you do not rank them, if you only select one, your ballot gets tossed. So there's a couple of factors with that. Number one, the people, the older elements of the Academy, the older members, they're not picking up on that. Number two, some people just didn't get the memo that they have to, do it this way, or they just didn't read the instructions. Number three, if a movie is divisive, if it gets some 1s but doesn't get a lot of 2s and 3s and 4s, which is possible with The Revenant, it might lose some points that way. So with that in mind, that's what's making the prediction really, because everyone really seems to admire The Big Short and Spotlight, but a lot of them may not pick them first. But if it gets enough 2s and 3s, they might actually come away and steal this thing. Again, my sense is that The Revenant is the one that, with its box office success and so forth and so on, I feel like it's got the momentum, but I am not 100%. Generally speaking, and when we spoke off camera a month ago, I told you guys The Big Short was the leading candidate, and it's very still possible could win, and Spotlight is the other one. There's, and Mad Max has the Chariots of Fire role in the sense that Chariots of Fire won in 1981 when the big the big ones were Raiders of the Lost Ark, Reds, and On Golden Pond were all the favorites, and they canceled each other out, and Chariots of Fire snuck in. It's very possible here. So it's a 3.5, movie race, and sort of one of the more exciting years in that regard. Again, with the DGA going to The Revenant, but also the PGA went to The Big Short, SAG went to Spotlight. So the precursors are all over the map. Again, my gut tells me Revenant is the likely candidate, and it would be the first time a director is directed 2 consecutive Best Picture winners. Are you guys in agreement with The Revenant? Do you guys feel like the tide is turning another way?
I'm in agreement with The Revenant.
I think The Revenant. I was thinking Spotlight early on, but I'm hearing Revenant. So.
Davie Joe, and you feel like The Revenant should win, or Mad Max should win?
Mad Max, yeah.
And J Money?
I'm with The Big Short.
Mad Max should win.
Big Short.
Not Mad Max.
No.
But Mad Max was higher in your top 10 list.
You know, my top 10 list are movies that I personally liked the best, but they're not movies that I think necessarily will win an Oscar. And they're not necessarily movies I think would be
what if you were a one-man voting academy?
Well, then it'd be an entirely different world, JB. It'd be a dictatorship, and I would just demand everything you could think of. But it's a different world. You know, honestly, I like Mad Max a lot. I don't think it's a Best Picture winner. I don't think it's Best Picture material. I think it's not. I mean, I don't want to side with you too much on this, but there's not enough to it to make it for me a Best Picture winner.
Yeah, I've also got.
But did I like it more than any of the movies up here? Yes, I did like it more than any of the movies up here. So you split the difference somewhere.
Yeah, I've also got The Big Short, and we've talked a lot about it, so we don't need to go into more detail about that. We're already 11 minutes behind, and we haven't even started our 1990 in review yet. So that's that. So in going through, it's fair to say Creed is what you think should be nominated, Davie Joe?
Correct.
And for you, J Money, now I guess it's not as obvious with you because like of this whole things that you like versus things that should win Oscars. What should be nominated here?
Well,
it's not your number one movie.
A fairly consistent trend throughout the night for the Oscars. Carol should have been nominated. I don't know why it wasn't. Carol to me is one of the top movies that are Oscar worthy this year, and it just didn't get the recognition it deserved.
I don't understand this concept of.
Because the Oscars are an award show, dude. They're not about what's the best stuff. The Oscars are about the Oscars. They're not about what's the best movie. I mean,
well, the Oscars want to be what's about the best stuff.
Yeah, that's nice that they want to be that way, but they're not. There are totally different genres that are completely ignored. There are performances that are completely ignored. There are things that are just never going to be worthy.
Well, sure, but I mean, that's ignored to you. But I mean, you have to understand the majority of people feel like
not the majority. 2,000 voting members feel that way. That doesn't really mean much.
Well, they're the people making the movies, so it means something.
Well, yeah, they're the people making the movies in Hollywood. That's fine. That's why I'm saying this is the show for certain Hollywood films. That's okay. I'm not decrying the Oscars. What I'm saying is it's a show about certain kinds of movies. And I'm saying pick movies are different. That's all.
I know definitely they make movies for Oscars. They gear them towards the Oscars. I think there's a certain feel.
I think that is sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Cynical. I don't think that is.
It also is what it is. I mean, it's also realistic. There's just a certain level of movie that's expected to fit within an Oscar category, and there are a lot of really good movies in the Oscars. They're just not necessarily my favorite movies. That's all I'm saying here.
Well, this is too big a discussion to go any further. Again, we're way late. Again, I had Trumbo here. It was my number one movie of the year, so I feel like it should have been the Best Picture nominee. It is a Mirrored Arts Award nomination, and I'll send you guys that list later on. I didn't include you in that because of this show. All right, so I don't know what we're going to do now. We're already super late. So we're going to close down and start anew. This is one of our longest shows in a long time, so I apologize. And we'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes. Or should we just say 7:30 at this point?
Yeah, let's do that.
That doesn't make a nice round number.
Let's just do that. That's fine.
All right, so 16 minutes, 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. Sorry to the Eastern Coast to go so long, but it was a big deal, the Oscars. So, so we're gonna talk about 1990. I'm so excited. And our classic movie fans are gonna be excited too. 7:30. Will you guys do me a favor and get on Facebook and Twitter and make that announcement 7:30 while I get set up? The rest of you, thank you for tuning into our Oscar preview, and enjoy the party. Enjoy the show on Sunday night. Right now, we're gonna do a little time travel. See you back in 1990.